So when reading the consumer data rights standards, it makes a difference about whether your focus is on the energy sector because you're an energy retailer or an energy tech, or the banking sector because you're a fintech or you're a bank and you're needing to obligate to deal with your obligations from a sectoral position. Some data holders and some data recipients may be cross-sectoral, but this is an important consideration, especially in the next year as we bring the second sector on. If you're a bank and you're currently reading the standards, there should be no difference for you. Everything is pretty much exactly the same, with a couple of caveats. Over the next couple of versions of the standards, we will introduce the energy endpoints. So there will be 2 or 3 areas where you can look at that and say, this does not apply to me, and it's important to realize that. So the first thing is the energy endpoints will be energy sector specific, and this is according to the rules. Banks will not be required to present energy specific endpoints. That would be that would not make sense, in the same way that the energy retailers would not have to implement the banking endpoints. And we have clearly in the standards separated out using the industry moniker of banking and energy to indicate when those two are different. If you are a bank, you also should look at the non-functional requirements area, because there's been new non-functional requirements introduced that are specific to the secondary responsibility flow. This is a request which has to go to a second designated party. This is not a situation that's applicable in banking, so those non-functional requirements will not apply to you, but they will apply to the energy retailers, because in the energy sector, AEMO is providing 3 of the data clusters and are designated as a secondary data holder for those calls. So for the energy retailer, that area is going to be important, and that has been included in version 1.12.0 of the standards, and will also be in coming versions. 1.13, 1.14 will also be expanded as we define the standards for that AEMO needs to present to the retailers. If you're a bank, though, you can ignore that because it's not applicable to the banking sector. The other thing to be aware of in the upcoming release, and this is in 1.12 but will also be carried through in future releases, is that there is a new version of the metrics endpoint. And banks need to look at those. There is a future dated obligation around that. There should be no implementation change apart from recognising the new version identifier, version number. But for the retail sector, there are new entries that they need to supply related to the secondary responsibility flow.